video will show you the organs that you should know for the rat organ practical. This is the heart. On either side of the heart we have the lungs, and the lungs are multi-lobed. The diaphragm was the muscular wall separating the thoracic cavity from the abdominal cavity, and we only have a remnant left, but that is the diaphragm. All of these deep red lobes are the liver. If we go back up to the throat of the rat, this structure right here with the white lines running across it is the trachea, and to the rat's left and slightly posterior to that is the proximal esophagus. To see the distal esophagus, you have to lift up on the liver and look at where the esophagus enters the stomach. Right here. So this is the proximal or distal esophagus. If we lift up on the stomach, underneath that, we will find a very delicate pinkish brown tissue, almost looks like it's made up of petals. That is the pancreas. And then this structure, although it's the same color as the liver, that is the spleen. If we go back to the stomach, at the distal portion of the stomach, you see a constriction. That is the pyloric sphincter, and that means this tube right here is the duodenum. The duodenum is the first part of the small intestine. To show you the jejunum, I would just have the pin in the middle of the coils. But in order to see the ileum, you need to first locate the cecum. And the cecum and the surrounding structures will be spread out like this so that you have a right angle right here. This part of the right angle is the ileum. Then this large sac is the cecum, and then the duct that exits at the right angle is the large intestine. The large intestine then continues down the posterior wall, but if the large intestine is pinned very far down in the pelvic cavity, then you would say rectum. And the anus is at the base of the tail, and so a little easier to see on this female right there. That is the anus or anal opening. If we go back inside the rat, we can see the kidneys. They are paired, one on either side of the body. And there is a very delicate hair-like structure, a duct, that drains urine from the kidney to the bladder. That is the ureter. Now the bladder is easier to find in a female than a male because of the seminal glands that surround the bladder. But this is the urinary bladder in a male, and this is the urinary bladder in a female. Urine drains out of the bladder through the urethra. To see that, we would have to truly crack the pelvis, which I won't do. So on the test, if there's a pin all the way down at the base of the bladder and a card says duct that exits the body, then you say urethra. Urine will exit the body in a male through the penis, and this is the head of the penis, in a female through the urinary opening. Right there. Now you're responsible for reproductive organs regardless of whether or not you have a male or a female. On a male, you first need to know that the skin on the outside is called the scrotum. And then if you remove a testes from inside, you have the epididymis on either end and the testes. And then you have the vas deferens, which is the tube that carries sperm out of the body, again through the penis. And again, don't forget that on all four corners of the bladder, you have seminal glands. On the female, there's less structures to know. She has a Y-shaped uterus. At the most distal portion of each side of the uterus, There's a round, dense structure, which is her ovary, where both sides of the Y come together. Under the bladder, you will find the vagina. And then underneath her urinary opening, she has a vaginal opening through which she would give birth. So this is the vaginal opening right there. And those are the organs that you should know. Oh, one more, sorry. Don't forget that this clear membrane that keeps the intestines from tangling is the mesentery. And those are the organs you should know.